going on, everyone? Anthony Davis is an absolute force and has some of the most special talent in general. And he is putting on arguably one of, if not the greatest defensive display we have ever seen in the playoffs. When he is locked in and focused, I don't think there's a question who's the best defender in the entire league. I made several arguments throughout the season about Anthony Davis and have compared him and his just defensive rating and just all of the stats and numbers that back up that Anthony Davis was far and away the best defender in the entire league this year. And if you made an argument for him to be Defense Player of the Year, I think he had one, right? I mean, he even played more minutes than Triple J, and Triple J won it this year. And you saw it looked like at times Anthony Davis was really motivated to just say, hey, look, I am the best defender. But with that, there's the other side of that coin, which is just the lack of consistency with Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis, this is the time for him to be the guy, right? LeBron James, 38, year 20, he doesn't have the gas left in the tank to completely just take over games night in and night out. We've seen him do it in spots. We've seen him do it in moments, close games down the stretch, things like that. And during the regular season, I mean, he was on a tear when Anthony Davis was injured, and it burnt him out, right? It really did. It burnt him out. And LeBron James now has that foot injury, which I don't know how much it bothers him, but it probably likely bothering him. I mean, he said himself that he's very likely going to have foot surgery at the end of the offseason. Hey, take that as you may. And Anthony Davis, he's still dealing with a foot injury, but that hasn't really seemed to be bothering him. Anthony Davis himself has said that, I'm dealing with the injury, but it doesn't hurt. It still exists, but it doesn't hurt. And he's done a great job of just staying on the court, playing heavy minutes, and staying active on the defensive end. Last game wasn't his best game defensively, but he still had put together a solid defensive showing. But again, you get stats of 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. And then you look at a guy like Kevon Looney, who, yes, he's been an incredible just menace on the glass, but played like a third of what Anthony Davis played, literally, and he was able to get 8 rebounds and 6 points. Like, it's just, you see that and you're just like, come on, man, like, you're better than that. And again, Anthony Davis on the defensive end is remarkable. Lakers aren't trading Anthony Davis. I know that that's everyone's kind of first reaction, or most people's first, I shouldn't say everybody, but most people's first reaction. I get so many comments from people that are like, you need to trade Anthony Davis in the offseason. Need to trade Anthony Davis. Like, why in what world would you trade? Anthony Davis, his defense alone is worth the money that he's getting, right? His rebounding and defense alone is worth what he's getting. There's nobody else on the planet like him. And he's giving you that nightly on heavy minutes and completely shutting guys down. I mean, the Warriors are shooting the lights out because they can't get into the paint and score because Anthony Davis is just completely taken over. You saw Anthony Davis completely shut down the Memphis Grizzlies on numerous occasions, game in and game out. But then you see like game 1 against the Golden State Warriors, and he's like, 30 points, 23 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks, 1 turnover, and 2 fouls. And you're just like, dude, that guy's the best player in the world. Seriously, like, that guy's hands down the best player in the world. And we've seen stretches. He leads the league in 30 and 15 games. He leads the league in 35 and 15 games. The guy is an absolute monster when he's locked in, focused, and ready to go. And it's a real question of his lack of assertiveness and dominance, right? Yes, to his defense, we got to get him the ball. And Darvin Ham has to put him in positions to be able to go and get the ball, right? And Anthony Davis has to, go and request the ball, right? It works both ways. But also it's a lack of aggression, right? Like, you see even guys like Rui or D'Lo, or, LeBron, guys like, you see them literally fighting for position on a regular basis and trying to get, established to receive the ball. And then even when they don't, they still are fighting just in case it comes and swings their way. Where Anthony Davis, you'll see times where he is fighting for the ball, and you see other times where he's just kind of just standing there, or he's just handing out, like not really trying to get established and demand the ball. You're the guy. You're the best player on the Lakers. You need to go establish post and demand that ball. That's what I want to see from Anthony Davis. Because the problem is that we've been able to skate by with these inconsistencies. Today's game, I have no doubt, game 3, I have no doubt Anthony Davis is going to have a monster game because that's been the pattern, right? He has a great game, bad game. Great game, bad game. And it's like every other game he's having these monster games. So, based on the pattern, which I don't think is a coincidence, Anthony Davis is going to have a really good game. And we're going to be talking about it. It's going to be like, man, Anthony Davis is the best player in the world. Look at him. Oh my gosh, right? And it's just this feeling of just like, man, total dominance. But then game 4, it's like, is he going to show up? And that's a concern from your best guy. Because, yes, let's say Anthony Davis has another 30 and 20 game, right? And we win game 3. Game 4. Let's say we do win game 4, right? Game 4 is the game that's probably going to be the real decider. Because you win game 4, you're up 3-1, series is likely over. If you lose that game, now you're just in a tight spot. But let's say we win that game. And let's say Anthony Davis has, 12 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, whatever, 4 blocks, whatever, right? Let's say he has a great defensive performance, and it's enough to win us the game, right? D'Lo steps up, LeBron steps up, everyone steps up. You get the point, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're up 3-1. Very likely we beat the Golden State Warriors. But how long until that catches up to the Lakers? How long until Anthony Davis's lack of consistency catches up? Is it the Denver series where, hey, let's say we win, let's say it's the same pattern. Win game 2, lose game, or win game 1, lose game 2, win game 3, and Anthony Davis doesn't show up for game 4. You lose game 4, now it's 2-2. And now you go into Denver, and now it's 3-2, and then it's like, okay, well, now Anthony Davis, based on the pattern, Anthony Davis is going to have a bad game. And now you're going home, and you had an opportunity to get into the NBA Finals and win an NBA championship if you just played consistent night in and night out. And I'm not even talking about him going and getting, 30, 20, 5-5, right? But he should at least on a nightly basis be giving us 20 plus. The problem is his bad nights are really bad nights. His bad nights are like role player pedestrian nights, right? And that's not what's good. You look at a guy like, Joel or, Joker or Giannis or these other big men that are dominant to the level that Anthony Davis can be, right? Their bad nights are 20 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal, something like that. Giannis's bad night will be 25, right? That's why he is who he is, right? But that's the difference there, is that Anthony Davis, if his bad night was 20 points, or even 18, right? If you gave us 18, 12, 3, 4, and 3, right? That's a bad night for AD standards when he's great and he's on, but that's probably enough to win you 90% of your games, right? Seriously, if Anthony Davis can just get to being consistent, and I would rather Anthony Davis every single night give us 21, 22 a night than 30 and 20 games. Because at least you know what Anthony Davis is. You know what he's going to do. You know on a nightly basis, you're basically locked in for at least 20 points. And everyone else can adjust accordingly, right? But the problem is that he won't give you that. it's either 30 or it's 11. And it's just like this huge swing of just dominance and then lack thereof. And I'm not even talking about like, I mean, lack almost irrelevance, right? Like it's so bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen a superstar level top guy in the league have such a big pendulum swing, right? Like, again, most stars, most guys, they'll have a bad night, and it's like, okay, they gave us 18 instead of 27 or something like that, right? And it's just that becomes a problem. And Anthony Davis, he's a guy that's capable of on a bad night going and getting you 20, right? Like, and you're just like, man, like he gave us 20, 15, 5, 5, and 3, like, and that was a bad night. Like, that's what we need to see from Anthony Davis because he has the talent, he has the capability, he's able to do that and dominate and establish himself, right? And occasionally, if he had an 11-point game, yeah, it sucks, but hey, it happens, right? LeBron's had like a 7-point game or whatever in the playoffs, whatever it was, right? Like guys like even Devin Booker, who's putting up 45 a game, right? He's had bad, just duds where he's put up like 9 points. Like it happens. Guys have bad nights where just nothing is falling. It's just it's almost like you're not even out there. And that would be fine if that was an anomaly, right? Like if Anthony Davis gave us that 11-point game and it was an anomaly, it wouldn't be a big deal. It'd be like, okay, like that sucked. Anthony Davis gave us 11, but hey, he's a lock for 25. Like, so we're good. No big deal. Brush it off. Let's get to the next game. But that's the problem, is that it's not. It's like you can almost time it of when he's going to have just a bad performance. And I've said it from day one. We go as far as Anthony Davis takes us because he's the guy that has to carry us. LeBron's not that guy anymore. Can LeBron do it for a game or a quarter or something like that? Sure. I'm sure if it's a game 7, right? Like if we go to game 7 against the Warriors, I could see LeBron going and dropping 30 plus because he's not going to want to go home. He's going to want to do everything he can to not go home. And I could see him maybe taking over for that game. But it shouldn't have to come to that because Anthony Davis is the ultimate mismatch. There's not a guy in the league that can stop him. There's not a defense in the league that can stop him. And even last game, in game 2, like Anthony Davis got all the same looks. He just wasn't hitting them. And we need him to be that balance. We need him to be the best player in this series. Steph Curry has been good. He hasn't been that like great, ridiculous Steph Curry. He's had some moments, but he hasn't been that like completely take over, demoralizing Steph Curry that we've seen. And so Anthony Davis being a monster would be massive. Now look, I don't care that they lost game 2. I mean, obviously I wanted them to win it. Everybody did. But I don't think losing game 2 is do or die. I think everybody expected the Lakers to lose game 2. Even if Anthony Davis went and gave us 30 and 20, we still lose game 2. It's the Warriors. They're at home. It just, they lost game 1. You knew that they weren't going to lose that game. I don't think anybody really thought the Lakers could sweep them. I did believe if the Lakers did find a way to win game 2, that this series is over. But realistically, I don't think anyone really thought that was going to happen. But now you have 2 home games and an opportunity to essentially put this series away like you did in the Memphis Grizzlies series. And you need Anthony Davis for both of those games. Because the Warriors are not the Grizzlies. If Anthony Davis, game 4, drops 11 points or something like that, the Lakers are probably losing that game. Unless, a couple guys just completely go off. Now, again, I've said, and I still stand by this. Like, if guys are just playing ridiculous and shooting the lights out, and Anthony Davis takes, whatever, 5 shots or something like that, and we win, I don't care, right? It's not a big deal, right? But it's when that happens. Like game 2, nobody really showed up except for LeBron James and Rui Hachimura. So for me, it's like you need to, like, that's your opportunity to step up and show and be that other guy and just dominate the game, right? Because again, game 4, I really believe the Lakers win game 3. Game 4 is my concern. And game 4 against Memphis, Anthony Davis only had 12 points. He was 4-13 from the field. If he does that against the Warriors in game 4, the Warriors probably win that game. We just cannot afford him to be that. Now, again, if in game 4, Austin Reeves is like 4 or 5 from 3, D'Lo's like 4 or 5 from 3, LeBron's got it going, and just like everybody's just dominating, because we've seen games like that. We've seen games even in the regular season, right? We saw games where we just had it going and Anthony Davis had 12 points on 4 attempts. And it was like, well, why did he only shoot 4? Well, because he didn't have to, right? Like, so why kill yourself when everybody else has got it going? I don't mind that. Basketball is a team sport. But a game like game 2, where, we're looking dead in the water here, and if you just get going, this might be a different game. That's what I need to see. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think the answer is with Anthony Davis? Again, they're not going to trade him unless some insane package, comes up, where whatever. I don't know. Unless you get something like Luka becomes available for AD or something. I'm not saying that would happen, but I'm saying it's going to be something crazy, because there's nobody else that's going to give you the production that he gives you, especially on the defensive end. Anthony Davis alone takes us from a bottom 10 defense to a top 10 defense, just by himself. You can't get rid of a guy like that, but we need him to be more consistent. I trust Anthony Davis. I really do. We've seen him be able to do that. We've seen him be able to go out and just dominate night in and night out. I mean, he had a 2-week stretch where he was incredible. If he does that again, we win the NBA championship, right? I just need you to lock in and dominate on a regular basis, right? Look, if Anthony Davis gives us 30 and 24 games a series, or we're winning the NBA championship. But the question is can he and will he? But I want to have faith in Anthony Davis. I want to believe that he turns it around. I want to believe that he knows what needs to happen, and hopefully he does. But anyway, again, let me know down in the comments.